Come on in. I'm gonna wait just a little bit and see if anybody else comes along, but thanks for coming. Hey Tamashian, how are you? You finally caught me on a Sunday school scope. I'm gonna see if anybody else comes. If not, then I'll get started in a little bit. I have something to do. I usually scope at 7:30. Well, that's what I said I wanted to do, and then I forgot I had a previous commitment today, so I'm trying to do this a little bit earlier than usual. So hopefully we can get a couple more people. Hey, you did. You caught me live. Hopefully we can get a couple more people, and then we'll get started. Got everything. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Kelly. My handle is Kel Greens because I go by Kel. And today, hey John, today what I'm going to do, John, I'm actually going to talk about this because of you. These are 3 books I kind of wanted to touch on today. One of them is Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys by Jawanza Kunjufu. And the other one is Black Student, Middle Class Teacher, also by Jawanza Kunjufu. And then another book that I wanted to talk about is Motivating Black Males to Achieve in School and in Life. And so, we're getting more people coming in, so thank you for coming. Make sure that you share this with everyone. And like I said earlier, my name is Kelly. I go by Kel. And what I'm going to be talking about, first of all, I guess about me, I'm a 7th grade science teacher, and I'm in a district that's pretty much diverse. I'm in Michigan, and right outside of Detroit. And so our district is about 30% black, 30% white, 30% Indian, Asian, and then the rest, like everything else. We have a lot of different cultures and different people in my district. There's over 100 different languages that are spoken amongst the students. So it's just really, really diverse. And I'm getting my doctorate in metropolitan education because a lot of times, I see your question. I'm going to talk about that, about should ethnicity matter. That's a really good question that you posed. But I get pulled out a lot to do diversity trainings. I train other teachers about cultural competency. And so what I hope to do is to kind of move out of the classroom and do that full time. So the question was just posed about students need role models, and does race matter in terms of role model? And it does matter, because when people see someone like them in a positive aspect, then in their mind they kind of think, hey, I identify with that person and I could kind of be like them. So if a school has more minority teachers and there's minority students, then a lot of times students will make that connect and think that there's somebody there who understands their culture or their background, and they'll connect with them more and be more receptive to the school setting. But what I wanted to talk about today was African-centered education, because that's the topic that John posed to me a few weeks ago. I didn't scope last Sunday because last Sunday was Valentine's Day, and I didn't think I would get many followers. And then the weekend before that, it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I didn't scope because I knew nobody would probably be watching. They were probably busy watching the Super Bowl. So anyway, the question I was thinking about as John had posed that to me was, is African-centered education, is that, what were my thoughts about that? And so, hey Tadra. And so something that I thought about in terms of African-centered education, if you have a district like mine, and I'm not sure much about Russians. So if you know, kind of like my district, you'll see that we have all different kinds of students, but then the majority of the teaching staff is white women, and that's primarily what makes up the field of education. It's dominated by white women. And so what will happen is, when you have the majority of your teachers coming from a certain culture, then they have certain expectations that they want for their students, because that's all that they know and that's what they're used to. And so then when someone behaves outside of what their culture is used to or outside of that norm, then like flags go up, and then that student is seen as hyperactive, or that student is, you know, labeled ADD, or that they have a learning disability, when the case may not be that. It could just be that there's a cultural disconnect, and if a teacher understood more about that culture and how to reach and engage with those cultures and pull them into learning, then they would have better results, and those students wouldn't necessarily be ADD, ADHD, or learning disabled. Perhaps, as in this book right here, Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. This is a really, really good book by Jawanza Kunjufu. And in there he talks about just that Jawanza, in Black culture, there's so much going on generally in a lot of households, and you can't make a blanket statement and say like all black people are like this and all whatever, but for the most part there's a lot happening in the Black household. There's music that's going on. I know upstairs I have music on right now. You might have TVs going on, people coming in and out of the house. My aunt's house is like that. It's just people constantly coming in and coming out. Like, she knows who the people are. Like, if I go over there to visit, like, it's just people coming in and out. That's just how the culture works. And there's, you know, a lot of emphasis on music and dance and storytelling. And so when a child comes to school, and if they have not been conditioned already to, you know, okay, you need to sit down, be quiet. So when they come into school, then the teacher thinks that there's something wrong if the teacher is white. But something else that Jawanza Kunjufu touches on that I think is interesting in Black students, middle class teachers, he goes on further to say that not only is that a racial disconnect sometimes, have I worked with any of the African-centered schools in Detroit? No, I have not. I know that there's one called Nataki Taliba, and it's not too far from my church, and I know some people that went there, but I haven't, I don't know much about Nataki Taliba, so I'm sorry, I can't really answer that for you. But back to this about Black students, middle-class teacher. This really changed my life because I grew up in a Black suburb outside of Detroit, and so I think sometimes my experience, even though I'm African American, is a little bit different than someone who may have grown up in the inner city. And so what he talks about in this book is that, one, that it's important for teachers to live in the community in which they teach. So that's why I live in the suburb that I teach in. And it's interesting, like, I see my students at the grocery store. They'll sometimes, if I'm out on a date, they'll see me out on a date. If I'm, like, we have community events, they see me out at stuff, and they see me like at taught ESL in Philadelphia. It was more important to the parents that I was fair to everyone. And okay, I'll come back to you, Ross. But I think that in terms, Ross, can you, when I finish about the book, can you repeat that one again? Scott Ross Smith. But what I wanted to touch on about the book, though, is that he talks about there's a class difference too. And so I think that sometimes if people come from an upper or a middle class and then they go and teach someone who's in an impoverished setting, they still are not going to connect with the students, even if they are the same race, because they don't understand everything that is going on in the neighborhood. They don't understand all the struggles that the students are going through. So I thought that was a really, really good book. And then just another one that I refer to a lot is Motivating Black Males to Achieve in School and in Life. And this is by Baruti Kafele. This is how you spell his name. Well, it's backwards for you guys. B-A-R-U-T-I Kafele. K-A-F-E-L-E. And so in terms of this book, he just talks about like ways to reach out to students culturally, ways to connect with students. And so to answer John's question, though, his initial question about my thoughts about African-centered education, the class that I'm taking this semester is Intro to Metropolitan Ed, or Intro to Urban Studies, or something like that, Urban Education. And and this is my second year in the program, but in this particular course, we've been doing a lot of readings, and just research has shown so much that what schools are doing right now is not working. So something has to change, and I think that one of those things that can change and can be different in a different venue and a different option is African-centered education, and not saying that if people are separate then they think that they're better than anyone or anything like that, but I think that in an African-centered environment, based on what I've read in the research, and again, I haven't been to any schools like that to really know, but I feel like based on the research, then the research is saying that when students are in environments where the education is culturally relevant, meaning that the things that they're talking about they can connect to, when students are taught from a CRT lens and a CRT perspective, and that they're able to not only look at their environment, so CRT means critical race theory, so when they're able to look at something with a CRT lens and see how race is really entrenched in everything that we do in America, and once they see that and be able to then analyze and see what's going on in their community and kind of change things, then that can also be a tool. And so I don't know if necessarily saying that like an African-centered school is the only option, but I definitely think that it is a necessary tool, and I think that it's a great option for people to have, particularly if students are in an environment where they're going to school and they're not finding success. I think the main goal of education should be to make sure that all students are reached, that all students achieve, and that all students have opportunity to grasp something so that they can understand it. And so Scott, Roz, Smith, back to your statement and to your question, like I also teach ESL, and I've been teaching ESL, it was my minor in college, so I've been teaching for 8 years. I've been teaching the ESL classes for about 6 years now, and like I said, our school and our district is so diverse. We have over 100 different languages spoken, but at the same time, I cannot just say that I treat all the students just the same. There's times where I have to make that connect with different students about what it's like in their country. We talk about race, we talk about ethnicity, we talk about our cultures and talk about food and just all different kinds of things, because everybody is different. And yes, they're all students, and yes, they're all teenagers. Yes, they're all 7th and 8th graders. But at the same time, everybody comes with different lenses and different perspectives, and it would be a disservice to not honor that. I can speak for myself and just say that if I went somewhere and people did not acknowledge me as a black person, I think that I would find some kind of qualm with that. And I saw somebody was mentioning something about like going to a African-centered school and then not going to African-centered school but then feeling really prepared for the world. And I think that just because you have a separate environment does not mean that you won't be prepared. The college I went to is Oral Roberts University, and it's kind of an evangelical Christian college. And I went there for all 4 years of undergrad, got my bachelor's there in elementary education and English as a second language. And the experience that I got there was phenomenal. And yes, it was Christian focused. And yes, they focused on everything, like everything that we did was always brought back to Christ. And they constantly just reminded us that we are Christians, that we are different than the world. We're in the world, not of the world. But at the same time, just like that person was commenting about the African-centered education, I felt so prepared after I finished Oral Roberts, because it helped to build my self-esteem as a Christian and help to build my self-esteem for a Christian in the secular workplace. And I think that had I not had that, I think I may have I may have struggled. I may have struggled about like, how do I fit in or whatever, but they trained us so well. And so if African-centered education is anything like that, I can only imagine, like my cousins all went to HBCUs, so historically black colleges and universities. A lot of my cousins attended those, and same thing, like they know that they have to live and work in the regular world, but that college experience just instilled in them so much that, you know, you are African American, you are black, and you can do anything you put your mind to. You come from a great lineage of people. As that's hammered into you over and over, once you leave, you know, the bubble of that school, you have that, nobody can take that away from you, what's been poured into you, because it will just continually resonate in your mind and in your spirit. And so I again, like going back to the initial question of my thoughts about African-centered education, I think it's a wonderful option. And I think that, you know, all types of, there's so many different forms of education out there, whether it's going to a parochial school, a private school, going to an African-centered school. Some people are homeschooling. I think that what it comes down to is you have to figure out what works for you and your child, and what avenue is going to allow your child to succeed and get education in the best way possible. And that's something that you kind of, as a family, have to I guess kind of talk about and deal with. And ultimately you want the best for your kid and you want the best for your child. So what time is it? Because I'm supposed to be somewhere. Okay, it's 7:22. So that's pretty much all that I have for today. I don't know if anybody else had any other questions or comments or anything like that. I'll wait a couple seconds. Okay, well, that's pretty much all that I have for today. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. There's still African-centered education giants in Detroit. Mama Imani and Baba Malik are there. Oh, okay. If you have any other, I guess, contributions, then add those. I think it's definitely important for people to know what's out there. You know, if people don't know, then they won't be able to participate in it. So thank you for sharing it so much. I appreciate it. No, I haven't heard of that one either. C-O-B-I. Is it C-O-B-I or Kobe? That sounds familiar, but I don't know off the top of my head what that is. C-I-B-I? No. No. All right, well, I'm going to go for now, and they do. There definitely needs to be a Black Ed Network here on Periscope. Thank you for saying that. Thank you. I'm going to follow you back when I finish because I don't know how to do that while I'm doing this. Council of Independent Black Institutions. No, I've never heard of that one either. All right. I guess if you have any other topic ideas, you can't really comment once I close this, so you could, okay, definitely. You could hit me up on Twitter if you have future like topics that you want me to discuss. So Kel_Greens, KEL_Greens, GREENS. Yeah. So that will be awesome. So thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Thank you for inviting people. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate everything. So okay, I will. Okay, thank you. Please watch the replay, Jasmine. Thanks for coming in. All right, so I will see you guys next Sunday. All right, I haven't decided what the topic will be, but again, if you have a topic suggestion, then hit me up on Twitter. Okay, see you guys later. Bye-bye.